East Birmingham used to be a little village in the county. It's grown a bit since then. Whiteshire is home to a very healthy badger population. But I want to impress on everybody here one figure. 1,861. That is the number of lives of badgers wasted in Gloucestershire and Somerset by a government that's bent on one of the most cynical and thoroughgoing plans to eradicate a wildlife species. In fact, a protected wildlife species. And that's why we're here. That's why I'm delighted to see so many people from all over the country, from north to south, coming here to show their indignation, if you like, their anger, about what is proposed to go on. Probably something getting on for 200,000 animals killed over the next 10 years out of a current population which is barely 400,000. That is disgraceful. But let me tell you about the badger. First, badgers do not roam the length and breadth of this country, as you have, with the intent of spreading bovine TB. They're a highly territorial species who don't tramp about at all, other than over their own territory. That territory is, 2 miles in diameter, perhaps in some cases 3. But that territory is vigorously and sometimes violently defended by its host badgers. And the reason for that is that the territory is their food supply. They stay put down their burrows and they come out at night to hunt for their staple diet. Over the whole of the year, half their diet is the earthworm. It is not hedgehogs. It is not lambs. It is not somebody's baby. It is the earthworm. And the badger is not a predator. It can't run. I know how fast a badger runs because I followed one once down a lane in the middle of the night in the car. And being a gentle soul, I slowed up and did not run over the badger, but I did have a second or two just to look at the speedometer. And the badger was going hell for leather, like a footstool on the move, at 16 miles an hour. Now, how people can imagine that a badger can chase lambs across a field, hunt them down and kill them, when it can go at 16 miles an hour, and a lamb can go, as anybody who's got a farming background knows, a hell of a lot faster than 16 miles an hour. No, the badger is built to be the JCB of the animal world. It is not a racehorse. That job is done by the fox. And it's very important not to allow these two things to be bundled together in, as some people do, in a haze of indignation, anything to blacken, so to speak, the badger. So, what else did they say about the badger? There's the hedgehog problem. The badger's entirely responsible for the plummeting numbers of hedgehogs in the United Kingdom. Well, they're not. The plummeting total of hedgehogs in the United Kingdom is down to the fact that their habitat has been grossly interfered with by building development, by hedges, by rooting up hedges, which removes their cover and their hibernation opportunities, and also people's gardens. There is an increasing fashion these days for solid fences between gardens. Every garden centre is advertising them, Larch, Lap and God knows what. But what they do is not only keep out the burglars and the interlopers, they keep out the hedgehogs. And it stops the hedgehogs finding somewhere to lie down for the winter. Now the badgers, we have photographs at the Badger Trust, and I've published several of them in our magazine, Badger News, showing badgers eating out of the same dish as hedgehogs, where people have been kind enough to put the food out for the badgers on the patio or something like that. And if you've got a patio and you've got badgers in the area, there is nothing more rewarding than feeding them, not a lot, a handful of peanuts is quite sufficient to attract the badgers in night after night. You've got to be consistent, and the reward of this, the ultimate reward, could be that in the springtime, in late April and May, you may have the wonderful sight of the mother badger, the sow, sorry about the name, bringing their cubs into your garden. And you can see them playing around, and it's an incredible sight. I mean, badgers are pretty flexible, they have to be to get down the tunnels and turn round. But the cubs look as though they're made of rubber. They're enormously articulated. They're like kittens. A bit bigger, but like kittens. And then the other great myth about badgers is that, of course, they're very dangerous, aren't they? They're vicious animals. Well, you think of any wild animal. Think of wild dogs. Think even of sheep who are not wild. And if you cross them and get them cornered and frighten them, they too become highly dangerous and will take lumps out of you. I remember being somewhat struck, to put it mildly, by the daughter of a neighbouring farmer when I was a lad. And I went along hoping for a date, and there was an old ewe in the farmyard with her 2 lambs. And I went just a little bit too close. And I turned round to admire my beloved, and the ewe took a very different view of my presence. And she charged, and 200 weight of ewe got me behind the knees. I went over backwards, I landed on her back, she shot forward, and I went over her rump and landed on the back of my neck in the farmyard. And she trotted off with her 2 lambs like an old lady from the supermarket. This girl, damn no woman, was grinning out of the farm kitchen window, and things, I am sad to say, were never the same since. So you do have to be careful of wildlife, or even any animal that gets upset. Now, I think I've probably gone far enough. The audience over here is complaining. There you are, you see. I mean, I can deal with hecklers mostly, but that's impossible. So I think that's a broad hint to leave the stage, Jack, and leave Birmingham and Warwickshire and the well-being of Warwickshire's badgers and the well-being of the United Kingdom's badgers to all of you. Thank you.